Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Bowling. Welcome to Cashin In, our Cashin In crew this week. Mercedes Schlapp, Lisa Booth, Gina Loudon, and Richard Fowler. Welcome, everybody. Now, Mercedes, the liberal media thought they had him this time, but Trump again looking triumphant.
By far, this was the biggest media flop story of the week, Eric. It was something that the liberals, as we know, including Hillary Clinton, Harry Reid and the gang, they all believed that if they could just simply get Donald Trump to release his tax returns, that they were going to find something. Well, obviously, Rachel Maddow built this whole story up this week. She was teasing it on Twitter. Everyone was watching, and even those on the left criticized her when, as we know, what happened was President Trump, successful businessman, paid a lot of taxes, and there was no story there.
Okay, let's talk to you, Gene, and your thoughts. Now let's do this, though. At least Rachel Maddow, she went on Twitter. She said we have something that could be historic. That was the fake news part of it. The real news part of it was Donald Trump ended up paying a heck of a lot of taxes.
Yeah, this is just, again, the left trying so hard to delegitimize the election that they blew all by themselves. The problem is they're too small and too insecure to look inward at all and say, hey, post-mortem, what did we do wrong? I think that would be their winning tactic. But they won't do that, Eric, because they can't afford, they just can't afford the ego capacity, I guess. They're too insecure. But here's the thing. They're doing the same things over and over again in order to blow the next election. And here's what doesn't make any sense, Eric. If they are so concerned about Trump's taxes because they're worried about some foreign interest he might have, then why do they keep accusing him of being too nationalistic? For foreign interest, he'd have to have a lot of globalism in him like they do. Okay,
let's talk with Richard. I'm going to go to you, but I want to pull up the Trump tweet about this whole tax thing. He tweeted, does anyone really believe that a reporter who nobody ever heard of went to his mailbox and found my tax returns? And he says at NBC News, fake news. Richard, your thoughts on this whole fiasco?
Well, one, I think Mercedes is right. This is a nothing burger. But I don't think you can lump in Rachel Maddow with liberals who are, I'm very secure and I'm very big. So there's the answers to both of those questions. But I think largely here, I think this was a big mishandling.
Hold on. Did you say you can't lump in Rachel Maddow with liberal?
No, I mean, because I think this was a bad story. I think there's a lot of liberals who think it was a bad story. To say that the entire liberal movement is trying to, you know.
I don't know,
but
Richard.
With that being said,
her
Eric,
ratings that night were, I think, the highest ratings she had ever received.
I
did
like
that. 4 million viewers.
Said,
it's like 4 times a regular audience.
With that being said, I will say this. Donald Trump is known for leaking his own stuff. And I do believe it showed up in somebody's mailbox, but I think he did it.
Okay, let's go to Lisa. Lisa, look, how about this? If he did, I think that was a brilliant strategy.
I agree. I think it's very brilliant.
I think that President Trump should send Rachel Maddow a thank you letter and maybe some Trump wine to enjoy one night because she helped him out. Because what do we find out? He's really, really rich. He pays a high tax rate, higher than even corporations and corporations like MSNBC. So, yeah, he should send her a thank you note. But, Eric, here's the problem for someone like Rachel Maddow. As you pointed out, she saw a 60% increase in viewership, 4 million viewers tuning in. But for what? To watch her fall flat on her face. And the problem for her and the problem for the left and the problem for a lot of people in the media is in their effort to try to undermine the credibility of President Trump, they're so engrossed in it that they're undermining their own credibility. And that is exactly what Rachel Maddow did.
So, Richard, do you think, okay, so she gets this document from this author who wrote a book, an anti-Trump book last year. So she gets this document and she goes crazy. She goes right to Twitter and says, oh, my God, look what I have. I have Trump's tax return. This is going to be astronomical. She called it, could be historic. And then as she starts reading, she went to Twitter, and then as she starts reading the document, she says, uh-oh, this looks really good for Trump. Because the reason why I ask you this is she didn't actually show the document until like 20 minutes into the show.
Oh, I agree. I think that I think Rachel Maddow totally misplayed this. What I want to see is the entirety of Trump's tax returns, not for just 1 year, right, which is the 2005 tax year, but I want to see his returns like Hillary Clinton showed for the past 40 years. And I think that's what the American people are asking for. Rachel Maddow overplayed her hand here, and I think it's wrong to sort of because Rachel Maddow happens to be a liberal, it's wrong to lump her in with all the rest of us who are saying we want to see all your tax returns because every presidential candidate, whether Democrat or Republican, has released years and years of tax returns besides one. Donald Trump.
Okay. Let me ask you, Gina, do you think this was on par with Steve Harvey's Miss Universe flub or worse than the Oscar flub last month? What are your thoughts?
I think it was worse, and here's why. This was an intentional attempt to undermine a president, to distract from the things, the real news, the things that matter, like that people want to blow us up, like the amazing job that President Trump is doing regarding jobs, like a recovering economy and a stock market that's strong. Those are the things that the American people are really interested in. This has become the birth certificate issue of the Trump presidency. No one wants to hear about that anymore, and Rachel Maddow absolutely ensured that.
Lisa?
Well, I just think it's hilarious. There was an Associated Press article which really much appears that Rachel Maddow is now blaming viewers, that they read too much into it, that they overhyped it, that they were thinking that there was going to be too much there. But as you pointed out, she was the one that hyped this up. She made this seem like this was going to be some sort of monumental release of information. But this is what has happened with the media and the left and their desire to try to undermine President Trump. There keeps being these overhyped scenarios of, oh, there's bombshell information, horrible things that are going to bring down President Trump, and then it ends up being a nothing burger. And they so far have, in their desire and efforts to try to bring him down, continue to come up with nothing.
Let me bring Mercedes in here. Does the media continue to do this as they, like these dogs with their tongues wagging, hoping they have something here? And it's like the fifth time they've done this. They've hyped something. It's again, as both Richard and Lisa have said, a nothing burger.
Right. Well, absolutely. I think actually Richard brought up a good point, which is that the liberals are going to want to keep on this story. They want to see all of the tax returns coming out from President Trump. So I don't think this story, while it was a flop this week, they're still going to try to see if they can find more of his tax returns, whether it's illegally or not.
I can't wait. I want to see the return. I got to go. You know what? All those people who said he's not a real billionaire, the guy made $150 million in 1 year, 12 years ago.
But Eric, why can't we see his returns?
Maybe
he won,
Richard.
I want to see him.
Maybe he will show you the next
so
year.
did George Bush when we saw his returns.
All right, we're going to leave it right there.